Got you. They don't know nothing about us. Can understand why we're together. This kind of life will last forever. They don't know. You got me on. Oh, hey. Hi, everyone. So, I got on my Spinstagram, aka the Hierarchish. My spiritual Insta. Because I'm so old, I just learned what a Finsta was like a year ago. I was like, what's a Finsta? They're like, it's a fake Instagram where you express your real feelings. I was like, okay, work. Well, why can't we just be real on our real Instas? I don't know. But I got on last night and I saw that the cards by Alicia had come up with a emotional state spread or an emotional spread. And I just want to do it real quick because I'm curious. I'm feeling really good. Um, I had my little reset. It took my little 2 days to calm my light back or my energy back. Who did? Girl. Um, it's a 9-9 time, 9:54. What was I saying? Oh, where did that whole train of thought go? Oh yeah, yeah. I took caught my energy back. I dropped a few of the wands for a few days, and then like 2 days later, I picked it back up. But I'm feeling good today, and I'm also like I was getting really, really warm internally a minute ago, and then around Lionsgate maybe it kind of calmed down. So around the eighth day of the eighth month in the year of the fool, 2020. um, but now it's like it's back. I'm like, oh my gosh, the fire is back. But also there's like this coolness outside of me, and so it gets like really cold at night now. And it doesn't typically get cold back in my room, not like this. And it reminds me of a feeling that I used to feel, but it's like before it would be a lot more subtle. Now it's like it's pretty drastic. But when I'm asleep, like that fire isn't going, so like I get cold because it's just the cold and not the fire. And also, I'll randomly get like lightheaded or like a little head rush or something. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know what that's about. But I had a dream last night where I was walking. First of all, I ended up in France. And then I was speaking Japanese. So French and Japanese and English were all featured. And I don't know like any French. So most of the French was Google Translate on my phone in my dream. But I think the Google Translate was stuck on Japanese maybe for a minute. And then I remember walking by like this park area and there was a huge Pokeball on the ground. So I was like, oh, it must be like a Pokestop or whatever. Folks are still playing Pokemon Go. No one was wearing a mask. And that's where it's like the conscious. And then you look in the dream and you're like, oh, wait, hold up. This ain't what people's doing right now. Not that they should necessarily have to be wearing a mask in a dream. But that's one of the things, like one of those clues that it may not be reality right now, unfortunately. Uh, and then I was in this building and I was trying to like shower or go to the bathroom, and there was a shower in this one room, but it was like this L shaped tub. And so there was like two shower heads and this curtain that kind of sort of like divided these two, but also like because the door was right across. And I was like, I'll just shower at home. So I'm walking home, and then I had to go to the bathroom. I had to navigate out of the building, and the elevator in this building was so confusing because they had multiple floors, like um, the one, two, three, but like there were multiple one, two, threes, and then on a tiny bit on the side, I guess, like this elevator. I mean, it can't go to different buildings, but I don't understand why they were broken up weird if all of the floors were in the same building. So then I looked for the star because a lot of times the star is like ground floor, and so I found it. And I was like, I hope I end up on the right floor because if not, I'm gonna be stuck on this elevator. I get out. I'm trying to piece pieces together. So that part of the dream was one solid piece for sure. There was another part of the dream where I was in like France or whatever, trying to go somewhere, and that was a piece for sure. Then there's another piece where I was in like I was coming out of a building. I think it was the same building, and I was following a little girl, and this little girl I kind of sort of recognized. I mean, she didn't look like she did in an anime, but I was like, oh, that's the girl from the anime, so I have to speak Japanese to her. And so I was like, where's the car? So I was like, ano, kuruma de doko ni arimasu ka? Right, that's not super complex. Kuruma is car, doko ni is like where, and then arimasu ka is like, is it? Because arimasu is, and then ka is a question mark. Where that car at? And so I was following her, and I kind of lost her for a second when we got inside the parking garage, and I thought she went to the left. And so I started to head to the left, and I was like, wait, maybe she didn't go this way. So I turned around and I looked behind me, and there was another little girl, like going right. And so I was like, I mean, that doesn't look like the girl I was just following, but I don't see any other little girls, and that's my best lead right now. So I turned around and I started going over here, and as soon as I make it far enough, they honk at me, and they're like, hey, we're over here. So they were left. I was going in the right direction the first time. And then there was a part of the dream where I was walking home. So maybe they dropped me off a few blocks from home or something. I don't know. So I'm walking home, and I've also been like coming across quite a few Naruto videos on YouTube. And Gara, when he was a kid, popped up, and he was very angry at the world and just basically ready to fight and kill anybody, everybody. And so Gara was out there picking fights, and some of my friends were with me. And one of my friends volunteered. Well, I don't know if he volunteered or if Gara chose him to get the beat down. And I was like, you know what? I'll fight you, but let me go to the bathroom first. And he was like, okay, cool, right? So then he was chilling instead of attacking random folks. The closer I get to my house, like there are people. First of all, there's like lots and lots and lots of people outside of my house and our neighbor's house. And I saw, well, before I got to my house, like before I turned the corner to get down my street, I saw one of the people I knew from campus, and he was looking a little flush. I think that's the word. Looking a little rosy in the cheeks. And I was like, oh, hey. And he was like, hey, what's up? A little incoherent, but, not extremely. And then, oh, what's it? Devil with the 9 of Wands. Stay strong. Then he was like, I was like, where are you coming from? And he was like, Brothers. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know. Brothers is a bar on campus. See, stay strong, because now the Queen of Swords is with that devil. The truth is coming out. Unless whatever. And I didn't even, do it intentionally, but I'm wearing my brother's bar. Well, y'all can't see it. Oh, well, I can do this real quick, can I? I'm wearing my brother's bar shirt today. So I was like, wow, because he said he came from Brothers. I was like, are the bars even open right now? But there were a lot of people outside the house, and there's this field across the street. So there's people in the field, there's people outside the houses. And I'm walking down the street. I pass my neighbor's house, and I see people crying. And they're congregated outside of their house. And then I come to my house, and there's a bunch of people outside too. And I think my dad is outside with a table set up because my mom has her own business, right? And I guess that people were outside, so I don't know if it was a festival. I don't know if somebody was having church outside their house. I don't know what was going on. I was just trying to go to the bathroom. And I ended up waking up before I made it inside my house to go to the bathroom. So I didn't have to fight. And I'm a huge fan of that energy. I was like, I'll fight you, but let me go to the bathroom first. Then I woke up. Hey, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm taking it easy. It's like, oof, you know? It's like I've done all the fighting that I need to do. Alright, now let me pull this up. And I'm going to... This is how, because these cards have clarifiers. Ooh, the Six of Pentacles with the Hierophant. Okay, I'm loving that. Hierophant with the Lovers. Wait, the 5 into the 6 and the 5. Okay. Ooh, the Tower with the Lovers. 6 into 7. Y'all can just let me have that, could y'all? It's like, no, because it needs to be done. It needs to be purified. Something interesting is going on with children, specifically in this country, but also all over the world. It goes back to Sandy Hook, because it was like, there's been people advocating for gun control for a hot minute. Now, when like a preschool or an elementary school or whatever full of small children get taken out and nothing happens, it might be a wrap. The child trafficking, sending sending kids back to school when we're still like social distancing and wearing masks and stuff, but kids are going back to school. It's like, I don't know, it's like we don't really care about kids like we should. But, if they ain't born yet, and this ain't to turn into some like anti or pro abortion type of whatever. But if they're not born yet, then it's like the kids have more rights than they do when they're actually like born and alive and living and breathing. But I guess, if there's a supply of children that we need to have to take advantage of and to misuse and abuse, then if people stop having kids, then it limits the supply of children out there, doesn't it? So I guess it's not too far off that we'll advocate for the birth of them, but we won't necessarily, do the same for when they're actually here and try to, all that stuff. Also, the Petty in Me came out last night. I watched somebody's astrology video. She was like, Mars in Aries has been rough. There have been challenges. And I'm like, oh, but Mars in Aries is what everybody was waiting for. Because when Mars in Pisces, everything was confused and couldn't nothing happen. But as soon as Mars going to Aries, all of a sudden the world's going to be right, y'all. Okay, now they ain't say the world is going to be right, but they said like in our personal lives, then we're supposed to be doing whatever. We're supposed to wait while Mars is in Pisces. Wait until it goes in Aries. But like I was saying, if Mars and Pisces, last decan of Pisces, and Mars is the decan ruler of that, and you don't give Mars nothing to do before it goes into Aries, guess what it's going to do? It's going to go in there and it's going to cause trouble. It's like Aries is that overactive child, overly stimulated child, or the child that likes to be stimulated. And if you sit it in a room with nothing to do, you're going to come back to a mess. And it's not the child's fault if the caretaker can't keep it sort of like, not entertained, but not busy, but you know what I mean? Like, if you can't keep the child whatever, then expect trouble. Engaged. If you can't keep the child like mentally engaged or physically engaged, then expect for that energy to find some kind of outlet. Mars and Pisces is kind of sort of where we give Mars and Aries direction. That's why sometimes you gotta slow down before you just go crazy. But I'm just like, so how is this Mars and Aries treating you? I'm laughing. I know, it's the petty in me. But it's like, it's because I've never really noticed it before, but it's like, it seems like whenever I hear someone talk about astrology or whenever someone mentions the astrology, they'll be like, oh, the astrology is really rough right now, but it's going to lighten up at this point and everything is going to be good. With everything happening in the world, what is actually happening to make anything any better than it is today, or better than it was yesterday, or better than it was a few months ago? What is actually happening to make things better, or are we just sitting around waiting for things to just magically do something at some point? Question mark. That's why I'm just like, I don't think that adds up, sis. I ain't necessarily got a PhD in mathematics, but I think even a child would be like, hey, so like, if we don't do anything, then how are we gonna get there? It's like, just close your eyes, honey, and you'll wake up at Disney at some point. Even though it's a like week-long trip to get there, and it's like, so am I supposed to be asleep for a week and hope that I wake up there, or like, are we actually gonna get in the car, get on the plane, get on the cruise ship, or do something? Anyway, I just had to get that out there, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And this ain't what I wanted to do anyway. Well, I did want to do this, but I guess this will be a collective. The general emotional state. So, this is the current emotional situation. This is the emotional obstacle. This is the future emotional state. This will clarify this. This will clarify this. And this will clarify this. And then left at the bottom will be the what do I have to support me? And this is what we have to support us. Oh, it's at the bottom of the deck. Cool. So, current emotional state, emotional obstacle, future emotional state, and support. And then I do want to pull one of these, just chilling in the middle. And that's why I pulled these out. Bottom of the deck is girl. Oh my gosh. Bottom of the deck is the shadow side, which is devil energy, but it's the shadow side in this deck. And honestly, it's like our shadows are coming to the light, but if you look at the people in this card, they're not doing anything to face it. They're like hiding and cowering behind these rocks. And it's like, girl, I mean, ain't really nowhere else for you to hide. So he pretty much know you right there. It's all being illuminated, but we're not doing anything to remedy the situation. So if all we do is cower in fear or not address anything, and it could like, it doesn't even have to be. Bottom of the deck over here is patience. So I guess people will just wait it out. It's like, well, either you're in fear or you're sort of like waiting it out. And it's like, well, what are we doing within our own personal lives to move forward? And yesterday, my grandma, she was like, I hope that whatever lesson we're supposed to get from everything going. She said the Kova. I was like, oh my gosh, it's adorable though. She was like, I hope that whatever we're supposed to get from the Kova, we learn that lesson. And then she also said, because God isn't going to give us anything that we can't handle or any challenge that we can't rise to. And if something on this magnitude happens, it's probably for a reason. Like when God flooded the whole earth, it was for a reason. When Sodom and Gomorrah went down, it was for a reason. And in every single case, warning came first. So it isn't like, I mean, I guess it's not to be like super like end of the world doom and gloom, like buy into fear at all, because fear isn't the solution, but ignoring it isn't a solution either. It's like people will be like, oh, you should think for yourself, and so instead of choosing A, they choose B. And it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to think for myself, maybe I want to choose C, maybe I want to choose D, maybe I want to choose option number 5,5229. Why does it have to be a letter? Why does it have to be a number? Maybe I want to choose cloud, but one of those like bright and fluffy clouds that look like something, and not a heavy storm cloud that's impending doom. Because there's kind of sort of doom on both sides. Either you're afraid of the doom or you're preparing for the doom. But like, where's the third option when like we learn our lesson? There's a more harmonious resolution after all of this, and then we come forward in a new way instead of this either or type stuff. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that sometimes when we go from buying into one thing to immediately buying into the other thing, we think that there's some kind of liberation in our thought process, but it's like you went from A to B. Like, you went to the house next door. You ain't even go all the way down the street. You ain't even go like 2 houses down. You went like literally right next door. But this isn't about that. I told y'all this fire was coming back. Oh my gosh. And I'm trying to cool it off. Well, the cool is here too now. But the fire is on the inside and the cool is on the outside. I'd rather be cool on the inside. But I haven't got that head rush yet, so I think we're fine. Current emotional state. Death. Transformation. We're in a space of flux. And that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. But even death is a process. If we think about it, even death is a process. Death isn't a passive thing. Like, if you have your computer, now if you let your computer die, naturally that's one thing, right? But if you want to shut down your computer, there are some things that you have to do. And sometimes if you're running certain programs, you have to close those programs before the computer can even shut down. And then it'll be like, do you want to force close these programs or do you want to wait for them to close themselves to shut this computer down? It's still a process over here. And I feel like a lot of people are beginning to ask for some things that, beginning to accommodate some things as well that we should have been kind of sort of doing a long time ago, but enough people were kind of sort of complacent or bought into the system that it didn't really happen. Now, one thing that is very interesting is in the world of the me before I am who I am now, before I was who I am now, when everything was more like pessimistic and it was like, oh, here in the US, and a lot of minorities, specifically black people, knew that after an Obama presidency, something like Trump was going to happen. Something based on xenophobia, for sure. Something with a very race-heavy platform, for sure. Now, the thing about the women, that wasn't necessarily, that's always there, but we didn't think that would be like an extra, sort of like, whatever. I didn't think that would be an extra, whatever. I was like, after Obama, it's going to swing so far back to the other side, and it's going to be about, because his whole presidency, it was what it was, right? But then it was like, well, after like Trump gets in there, it's like anything is possible. But anything is possible because like it's probably going to be that bad. It's going to be so bad that like it's going to be a negative 1,000. So even negative 545 is better than negative 1,000. It's a lot closer to zero. Forget the positive. It's closer to zero. It's closer to negative 10. We're in the negative double digits instead of the negative triple or quadruple digits. Not to say that, Biden and Harris is going to be like a negative 545, but it always sets the stage for the next thing. And it's like we just keep flowing in this natural progression. When do we actually do something different? Enter 2020. Right? Maybe, potentially. So we're in this emotional state of kind of sort of wanting something else. Or we're in the state of emotional transformation. Maybe a space of an emotional distress that is so great that we have to transform. It's like all of these towers, all of these dark nights that we were kind of sort of ignoring or avoiding. Either we're going to face them in these times or we're going to continue to ignore them and things get even worse. Now, the emotional blockage is the Queen of Swords. I'm actually feeling this Queen of Swords in reverse. I think the emotional blockage here is us sticking to what we already see as true. But it's in reverse because these things aren't actually true. Can y'all see these? I'll hold them up to the camera. Here's Death on a pale horse. Here's the Queen of Swords. Did we not literally just see the Queen of Swords that came out after the Devil energy? So now the Queen of Swords is on the table and the Devil is at the bottom of the deck. We saw the Queen of Swords with something. I think it was that double energy. It's like the truth that she has isn't even the truth. The truth that she's sticking to is what makes her comfortable, and it's like the glue that keeps her world together. And that's the obstacle here. We're not willing to. I don't want to say we're not willing. Um, the obstacle here is needing to rise to the difficulty. I literally just said I need to speak life, so I'm going to speak more life. The obstacle that we need to overcome is letting go of the things that we need to be true in order to keep the status quo the same, in order to keep all of the cogs in the machine and running, even though this thing is mega old, antiquated, dusty. It makes so much noise because the cogs ain't even been greased in a minute, so they're just screeching. Just like the cogs are screaming and crying as they're intermeshed with each other, and it's just this very, very bad, not even song of misery, and not what we wanted. And so, of course, it's like, hey, somebody go in there and fix that clock. So we're trying to fix the clock, which is why we're being pushed into the space of transformation. But if we keep holding on to the things of old, we're fighting it. Now, the emotional future is the Emperor. The Emperor is looking at this Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords is looking at the Emperor. This Queen of Swords cannot stand against the Emperor. He's an Emperor. Now, there could be an underdog story if there's like guerrilla warfare and tactics like that. But, I mean, the Queen of Swords is trying to invade the Emperor's kingdom, where he has home field advantage. And he knows his land. And they're severely outnumbered. Who's going to win? Place your votes down below in the comments. I'm kidding. Had to get a little bit of water. Sorry. Also, I got some lemon juice yesterday. I don't know why. I mean, I have apples that I don't slice. But I think I might slice the apples and put them in a little bit of lemon juice. I learned that from one of my diabetic ? Friends in elementary school. I remember for his birthday one year, since he's diabetic, I think his mom showed up that year too. And like, you never see his mom, just his grandparents. So, sorry. We ain't got to get into his tea. But it was just worth noting that I think his mom actually showed up that year. And that was like the one year that he brought stuff to the class, or his family brought stuff to the class for his birthday too. And I can't remember what we had. It might have been like sugar-free granola bars and milk or something like that. Maybe not. I don't remember. But yeah, that's even as a child, I was like, whoa, it's his mom and not his grandparents. Why was I talking about that? I don't remember. I don't remember where I was going with that. Sorry. I just lost it. I just lost that. It's lost. Oh, snap this new moon in Leo. It's like going to be what, 26 degrees? Yeah, it's going to be like 26-ish degrees, maybe 27. Leo, Mercury is going to be like 27, 28 degrees Leo. And my Saturn is 23 degrees Aquarius. So it's opposing my Saturn right now. Which is kind of cool. It's not super, I don't know. I mean, I guess Saturn isn't a bad planet to oppose, because opposing Saturn means it might loosen its grip a little bit, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't remember why I was talking about that. But we have the Emperor here as our future emotional state. And this is what everyone's talking about. This is that, free thinking. This is that us thinking for ourselves, and when we think for ourselves, we're easier to not necessarily govern. Easier. We're harder to not necessarily govern, but to take control of. The difference being, one, when we are more free thinking and when we are more vocal, we don't like there's a lot of dissatisfaction in the world, in this country specifically, with the systems. But so much of everything is just like, oh, it is what it is. So no one likes it, but it's what we got to do. You work a job that you hate until you're old and you can't even retire at the ages that you used to be able to retire. Folks who were retired are now going back to work, and it's just a miserable life of working jobs that you hate until you die. Then you have kids and you have a family that you might like, you might love. Send them to school or don't. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, and then if someone's out there living their dreams, having a good life, then people get triggered, they get upset, they get mad, they go into their shadow. Right. Even if you are like, okay, right? It's like, why aren't you doing this? When are you going to get a real job? Why is that a thing? Like, especially if someone is taking care of themselves, what do they need a quote unquote real job for? So they can buy into the same misery that you did and be just as miserable? Like, no thanks. Oh yeah, I'm like, I saw that from over here, and I was like, yeah, that's not for me. It's not for me. I'm like, what do you mean it's not for you? It's for you. It's for everyone. It's one size fits all. And it's like, don't be mad at me because you gave up on you. Hello, I didn't even believe in me for like my whole life. I just like one day it was like, enough is enough, and I'm not gonna just, it's like this kind of sort of adjacent possibilities energy, but the adjacent possibility is like, there, look, there's the door to spirit right behind patience. I've been seeing the door to spirit so much lately. And honestly, I haven't been seeing it that much before. I would see, well, y'all know there was that period of time when the Temple Path was coming out a lot. Then Deceit started coming out a lot. Well, there's the Temple Path, speaking of the Temple Path. Between the Sun and Raphael, opening your heart. Wait. Oh, I feel like I almost had something. I don't know. Hostilities was coming out for a second. Deceit is coming out now. Envy kind of made a few appearances. And then we see, some of the archangels, especially like Ariel. We see her. The Garden and the Gate been popping out a lot lately. But it's like these adjacent possibilities aren't even really any better. And it's like, why in all of our power are we limited to an A or a B type situation? So, well, I do want to keep the bottom of the deck the bottom of the deck. Oh, well, here's Caring Connections. That's cute. So, around adjacent possibilities is the man holding a heart, who we see like multiple times a day now at this point. Then there's that adjacent possibilities, and it's with indecision. And behind indecision is Caring Connections. This is 45, 24, and 8. So once we can get through this indecision, we have a 9 in the man holding a heart. And again, as per yesterday, the man holding a heart is the man thinking with a spiritual mind, but not thinking in a spiritual mind in terms of like, it's like a heart based, it's a balance between service to self and service to others. It is enlightened, quote unquote. It's not like what we want spirituality to do for us, it's like what spirituality is actually showing us. And we're like actually in a time of cleansing, actually in a time of purging right now. And when we're in times of cleansing and purging, I mean, I don't know how other people do their shadow work, but it's like we need to stand up and face this transformation and not just try to hold stuck and stubborn to the things of the past. It's like the Queen of Swords is nothing but talk. She talks a big game, and she talks a lot, and she'll cut you with her words and cut you with her tongue, but she doesn't do anything. And then here's the Emperor. It's us sitting in our truth. Is he holding a cup? No, he's holding a golden orb and an ankh, and he has a golden crown. A crown of gold, an orb of gold, a throne of gold, and this ankh of gold. Now the ankh is a blessing from that Empress energy. The ankh has to be given to the Emperor. The Emperor can't take the ankh, and that's one thing that toxic masculine energy tries to do, is just take it. The ankh symbolizes life, right? So the Empress is entrusting this Emperor with life, and not only with life, but with the world in a certain way, with that golden orb. Over here, this Queen of Swords is just holding to the sword, not wanting to let go of the whatever she got. It's like the power. This could be a grip on the mind of the collective. In the mind of the collective, again, swords lately kind of sort of being these, I mean, it's always been, but more so now, representing these mental patterns, but kind of sort of like the background mental patterns, the ones that are ingrained in us societally that we don't even notice, programmed by the media, the news, our parents, and the world around us. But this is on the front. On the back side, everything is facing this Emperor. Everything is facing the future, and the future is extending a hand back to the past. That's kind of sort of why this is as bad as it is, because the divine is also in cooperation with this. Something of this scale doesn't happen without the permission of the divine. Like, devil energy ain't got that much power. It really doesn't. Devil energy kind of sort of doesn't have a lot of power, which is why it uses things like fear to convince you that it has more power than it actually has. You know, because it ain't even necessarily that you give it your power, it's just that you don't use yours, and so you make yourself weaker than it. um, but anyway, let's get into the clarifiers. This is not what I was necessarily expecting to talk about when I turned this on. I thought I was just going to talk about my dream, pull a few cards, like kiki a little bit, haha a little bit, and then get off, but it's this. But I really was like, oh, so is this Mars and Aries giving you everything that you wanted? No, it's fine. It'll retrograde. You'll get to do it again. Five of Cups. Both of these are Scorpio energy. This is the first decan of Scorpio, which is like pure Scorpio, which might be Mars in Scorpio, actually. And then the second decan of Scorpio might be Jupiter in Scorpio, and then the third decan might be the moon in Scorpio. Might be, because it's second decan is the Piscean decan, third decan is the Cancerian decan. So clarifying this transformation, we have the Five of Cups. This is all of that resistance to this. Because with the Five of Cups, it's like, you know, at the Five of Cups, it is like crying over spilled milk. It does have a certain energy of the Six of Cups, where it is primarily focused on the past. It's primarily focused on what didn't work. Now, in this card in particular, we have this mermaid actually looking at the two cups, or looking in the direction of the two cups, instead of, hold up, wait. Yeah, yeah. She's actually, well, her eyes are kind of sort of closed in despair, but she's looking down at the direction of those two cups and not at the three cups. And typically in a Five of Cups, the person is more focused on the three cups than the two still upstanding. But she's not doing anything. She's in despair. She can't move forward. I don't want to say she's giving up, but she's just like letting these waves of intensity wash over her. And she's like, just take me, death, just take me. And death is like, I didn't come here to take you. I came here to get you to like do all this other stuff. I'm it's not taking anything. It's like I'm in a transformation functionality right now, not in a reaping functionality right now. Now, in the world at large, there is a reaping functionality, but that's it's like not the primary goal, right? Because I feel like if the primary goal was death, then there would be a much, much, much higher fatality rate when it comes to the infections, right? And again, it's not to minimize the lives that have already been lost, but it's like if the primary functionality of this was just to straight up kill people, it would have killed more people. It would be like airborne and you wouldn't be able to escape it, right? The Page of Cups. Okay. I wanted to pull that because I was like, because I feel like here, it's like what all would a mermaid have to cry about? Not being in the water, but she's literally sitting at the edge of the water. Like if she moved her tail would be in the water and she'd be right back to where she wants to go. So it's almost like the issue here isn't a matter of availability. It's just we're not taking it. We're not doing it. And we got away a long time. Wait, why is this in the middle? And this, our adjacent possibilities should be in the middle. We got away with it for a long time with not really needing to do anything or feeling like we didn't have to do anything. It's like we pray for it and then we get it. Like, oh, thanks, Spirit. I didn't even have to work for that. All I had to do was close my eyes and imagine that I had it and, feel good about having it. And then I got it. It's like, okay, well, not to say that that won't still work, but it's time to do a little bit more. This is immaturity. I don't like doing that to pages, but it is what it is. Because again, the energy of this Queen of Swords is in reverse. And if the energy of this Queen of Swords is in reverse, then this Page of Cups, I guess, could also be in reverse. But it's an immaturity. And it's the Page of Cups. It's a spiritual immaturity. It's emotional immaturity. It's an immaturity that's like whenever you are personally affected by something, you get all up in arms. But whenever other people are personally affected by things that you're not personally affected by, then you don't care. Then it's like, shut up, sit down, take it, listen to authority. But if you can't go to the store after 8 o'clock, then, or like if there's a curfew enforced because of the pandemic, everyone's all up in arms. You can't tell us to not come to the park. This is public property. This is blah, blah, blah. This is da 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 da. That's oppressive authority to some people. What oppressive authority isn't to some people is, the senseless taking of lives, the kidnapping, the trafficking that comes as a result of some of that. It's like none of that is, authority overstepping itself. It's only when you got to wear a piece of cloth over your face that you really get all up in arms. But when it comes to the boundless injustice on this planet, then it's like, oh, that's not in my reality. That's not my experience. Ergo, therefore, it doesn't matter. I don't care. You're more concerned with a piece of cloth that protects people from you, service to others, when so many people just have a service to self mentality. And that's another thing that's been highlighted and illuminated, in my opinion, from my perspective, is that even though there are some people who are so spiritual and so this and so that, they look at something that's not designed, they look at something intended to protect others from you at minor inconvenience. And if it's an extreme health hazard inconvenience, then you don't wear it for a legitimate reason, not just because you don't want to. And then all of a sudden it's like God gave us lungs to breathe air. As it like, so are people like falling out all over the world, like dying because of masks? Are the people who have lived in countries where they already wear masks when they get sick to keep themselves from spreading that, like, are they falling out and dying? It's like, no, it illuminates the self, or the service to self. The boundary and the barrier to service to others is that inconvenience. Is that not interesting to anybody but me? It's stuck in the space of spiritual immaturity because we choose the truths that sort of benefit us, that make us comfortable, and we ignore everything else in the world. But newsflash, if it comes to your awareness, just because you don't see it, it's part of your reality. If you can't watch the news because of everything bad happening, and the news, it does have a very, very pointed perspective. I mean, it follows an agenda like a lot of stuff. But if your reason for not watching the news is because you can't handle all of the bad going on in the world, if you can't care enough, and as long as you're fine and as long as you're comfortable, then that's whatever. Like, this is what needs to be transformed. Five of Cups, this is emotional. Page of Cups, emotional blockage, emotional transformation. You only caring about your 2 cups, F the other 3 cups. I don't care about that cup, or that cup. As long as I got my cups, I'm fine. But now that death is coming for your cups, now it's an outrage. Now it's a problem. Now things got to change. But never mind the atrocious, horrendous things that have been happening to people who don't deserve it. Oh, you'll buy into that program real quick because it doesn't affect you. Okay. And then the 7 of Cups, clarifying the Emperor. You see what the Emperor is doing to the 7 of Cups? He's turning his back on it. And he's like, what can this wizard give me that my Empress can't give me? Hello? You ain't giving me nothing that we can't get together. But this 7 of Cups, it's again, it's giving me an energy that's very much like the SKT, where every single cup is bad. All of the cups in the SKT is related to a different deadly sin. It's like, pick your poison. This Emperor's like, well, I'm not gonna pick a poison, thanks. Again, this is that A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. Woo! Goodness, thank you. I didn't count. Energy. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna pick A, B, C, D, E, F. I'll pick G. And it's like, okay, well, you're still choosing one of the options that this man is giving you. I mean, like, direct opposition, it's always true. Like, if it's not true, it's false, right? I feel like sometimes we really, really, really think we're being we're blazing these mental trails, thinking thoughts that no one's ever thought before, even though we're literally buying into what everyone else is telling us. Just not the everyone else that is doing the one thing. We're buying into the everyone else that's doing the other thing, and we're calling that free thinking. Because you had the freedom to choose B over A, instead of the freedom to write 57 or apple or car or rainbow, sunshine, butterflies, unicorns, and all the good stuff in the world. Where's the freedom in that? It's like, you don't think these programs are written well enough that if you don't do A, you'll do B? Hello? I don't know, it's like, think deeper. And again, nothing of this magnitude happens without the permission of the divine, and warning always comes before destruction. Right? It wasn't like God told Noah, like, hey, I'm about to flood this piece. Build this ark, get everybody you can on board, and then, be prepared, because when it start raining, it's not going to stop for a long time. For 40 days and 40 nights, it ain't going to stop. And what if Noah was like, oh, no, I ain't doing that? Or what if, like, somebody else got wind of that plan, right? Devil energy, because devil energy knows too. And so devil energy gets the mayor of that city to be like, all right, everybody, like stock up the food and do whatever, leave everything behind and get on this boat because I don't know, it's mandatory, right? Get on a boat, build a boat, start building boats. And the people are like, that's dumb, that's stupid. No, if you're telling me to build a boat, then I'm not gonna build a boat because that's the answer. And then you drown. It's like let's think a little bit further into that. You know, can we trust the government? Probably not, especially not the government of old. Can we establish a government that we can trust? Absolutely. Can we do that from this place of complacency? Can we do that from this place of self-serving interests? Probably not. Because when you're self-serving, you're probably going to elect someone who's self-serving. And them self-serving, their self is not you. You are disposable to these people. But other people are disposable to you. So why are you surprised that you get treated the same that you treat other people? It's that entitlement. That's that cause and effect that's been broken. That's that people now all of a sudden thinking that they can do certain things and get away with it. It's the violation of universal and cosmic law. Violation of karmic law. But, you know, you get people to buy into it long enough, they become monsters. They don't even care about other people. It's 2020 and some people still don't see other people as people. Like, hello, excuse me, what? So you thought you'd be okay forever getting away with this? Okay. The Three of Wands, exactly. This is our support. This actually, it's a good energy if you're in good energy, and it's a not great energy if you're not in great energy. Your support, what you have for support right now, is whatever you put your energy towards. But if you're putting your energy towards something that has no substance, it can be like one of these pretty dream illusion things, right? But if you don't do anything, if you're stuck in a space of waiting with the patience down here, waiting for the shadows to just go away, waiting for the sun to come out, not realizing you're miles deep into this cave where you're not getting no sunlight. It could be daylight outside right now. The purpose of the fog is to diffract the light. And this fog is actually kind of divine. It's to get us to discover our own lights and to come into these lights and to come into our hearts where we actually give a F about other people who aren't us. Even if we're not personally affected, we can still care. Imagine that. Oh my gosh. Now that's revolutionary. That's free thinking. And then people will be like, I don't even know why you're so upset. We're not even talking about you. It's like, you ain't gotta be. Hello? Whatever we give our energy to is what we're going to give back, or that's the support that we have, right? That's the support we have. And so I feel like there's this fear camp over here and then there's this anti-fear camp over here that kind of sort of work to the same ends a little bit. That's the support that you have. And again, if there's no substance to it, if you don't do anything to put meat on its bones, if you don't feed it, if you don't water it, if you don't ground it, it's going to die. Yin and yang. Upright, this card is a yin cycle. Yin cycles are all about receiving. Receiving this judgment. What's around judgment? That's what we're receiving right now. Look, there's the King of Swords after the shadow side. Excuse me. I promise I carry y'all, but I think it's unfortunate that so many people have bought into systems that dehumanize and delegitimize other people. So many people have bought into this dog eat dog world mentality that they've allowed themselves to be put in a position of just being terrible people. And they're like, yeah, my grandpa is like mega racist, but you know, he donates blood and he does this and he does that. And it's like, okay, so they often say that we're like the true show of our character is how we treat the people who can do nothing for us. The true show of our character is how we treat the people who are already on the outside. If your grandpa gives to the people who already have, and that makes him amazing, but he spits on, demeans, beats up, and goes out and finds people and vents his own frustration on them, he's not a good person. Overall, as a whole, that heart that he has, it's not that great. If he can't see the humanity in other people and treat them with some decency, it's not that great. If you can't do that, it's not that great. But again, it's like I understand how we got to this point because of everything that's been transpiring on the planet, but at the same time, it's like we're born with our own hearts and we're born with our own minds. And there have always, always, always been people who are like, this isn't right. We shouldn't be doing this. There's always been people doing like that. Always been people saying stuff like that. Been people doing stuff like that. Always. It's never been okay. But I guess the patience was us waiting to this point where it would get so bad that the divine would have to come down and flood the earth without a flood. Now things are blowing up all over the place. What's that about? Oh my gosh. The Four of Pentacles and the Page of Wands are on this karma. Another page. This is self-serving interest. The Page of Wands and the Four of Pentacles, that's self-serving interest. Page of Wands goes after what he wants, and then there's the selfish, miserly Four of Pentacles that don't care about nobody but himself. Here's this Queen of Wands with the Page of Cups who picks the truth that serves her own emotional sort of interest. As long as she's good and her kids are good, then she's fine. She doesn't care. It's like, how long did we think something like this would be able to stand? How did we honestly think we were going to come into a 5D, oneness, unity consciousness with stuff this heavy still rampant in our own hearts and minds, where we don't even care about other people? It's like, oh, I don't like what's happening in the world, so I'm going to go and do this and do that and distract myself and have a good time. Screw everybody else. I don't care. You think you're getting into 5D with that? Okay, maybe. I don't know. Because who am I? I'm just the person down here having an experience with everybody else. But this don't add up. And now, with everything being brought to the light, your shadows have been brought to the light. So we can't even, like, that's the good thing about this time, where everything is coming to the light. We get to reevaluate and we get to question the things that have been put into us all this time. We get to come into this space where things are so frantic and so just broken and veiled and shrouded. It puts us in this opportunity to try to discover what's really true. Now, are you going to buy into this? Like, there's good and bad on both sides, right? Like, I'm sure there are entities on the dark side that want war. There are entities on the light side that want war with the dark side. Probably. And it's like you escape the dark side war sort of mentality to go to the light side war mentality. You're still feeding into the war when there's a truth of harmony and balance within you. And it begins with owning up to the things that we've been doing. And we can't just use the excuse of, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. That's not a valid excuse. Yes, you weren't responsible for the creation of it in this incarnation, sure. But you have been kind of sort of mindlessly or not buying into the system. And right now it's one of those, it doesn't matter who started it, we're on this adjustment. And if you're just blaming, or if you're shifting the blame and not taking responsibility, you're going to miss it. And I wouldn't want to miss this. I mean, this is it. This is that opportunity to clear our own slates. this is how we do it, by facing it, owning up to it, and letting it be what it is. And there are a lot of people in some ways who are doing that. And that's what makes me, it's like, I don't know, it's like I feel like I look out into the world and I feel more pride and comfort than when I look into, I guess, at least some of the people that I've been coming across in the spiritual community. That may seem backwards, but I guess that's what happens when you get so deep into spirituality and the law of attraction and manifestation that you only serve your own interests. And anything outside of you that you don't like, you just deem it as other. It's like, oh, is that the Lovers? Oh, it's the Lovers and the Seven of Swords. I thought it was the Two of Cups for a second. That's the me in spirituality that I've been talking about. And the proctors for this exam, they were here before it went down. It's just unfortunate, I guess. So, do I have compassion and sympathy? Yeah. Do I have any, like, leniency or whatever? Like, no, I don't. If you don't care enough to, like, what am I supposed to have for that? You don't care. Like, again, it's been illuminated to all of us. If you want to stick to that Ace of Swords that keeps you in that Page of Cups, that's fine. It's your life, it's your choice, it's your journey. But you don't get, like, a pity party for that. Again, like, these are some things that are very, very big and not easy to rise to. But it's necessary for the space that everyone was claiming that they want to reach. Didn't think you were going to take all this baggage with you, did you? You didn't think all of this atrocity that happens on the planet, like, just because you turn a blind eye to it and you say it's not happening, like, did you think, I don't know what we thought. I don't know what we thought. But it's time for a little readjustment. Where is it? Where is it? Hold up, y'all. Is it right here? It is. Oop. Y'all see this? The attitude adjuster. Hold on, wait. The attitude adjuster. It's like a wooden gavel. Justice. The gavel has been put down. Okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's fine. I got this. I'm pretty sure I got this when I went to Hannibal, Missouri for the Tom Sawyer days. We read Tom Sawyer in middle school. That's where I almost died because we was in the cave and I looked away and I wasn't paying attention, and it was like there was a light here, there was a bend right here, and another light right here, and I wasn't paying attention. And so I was just walking forward, and then I hear the tour guide out of my left ear, and then I stop, and I'm like, oh, they all went there. And I look down, I'm literally like at the edge of this drop off in the middle of this cave. Just like I lost a little girl in the dream. I was like, I think I should go left, but I'm gonna go right. And then I stopped because I heard them honk the horn and call me. I heard that man in the cave. I heard the tour guide or whatever. Girl, that would have been a tragedy. I looked down literally right at the edge of this drop off. I can't even see because it's dark. I ain't have no phone with a light back in them days. A lot of phones didn't have lights back in them days. I don't even know if I had a cell phone back in them days. Actually, I might have had my little flip phone. It was cute. Girl. But this is where I got that. I got it in the gift shop. And I got Wood in my name. In my last name. Wood. And here's this wooden gavel that I've had forever. What's interesting though is like it's this little symbol right here. And in the dream, in the French part of the dream, there was a Pokeball on the ground in this wooded area. by like the park. It was like this Pokeball shape. I was like, oh, attitude adjuster. Okay, work. All right, this is Oh yes, yes, LinkedIn with the save. I have literally been looking into this specific type of work, and I was gonna email one of my professors. I ain't been doing it. Spirit kind of sort of told me to do it. I've been sitting on it. I know I ain't perfect, but LinkedIn was like, "Hey, are you looking into this type of work? Click in here." And I was like, "Thank you, LinkedIn. I will do that." It's time for things to begin moving, and at this point, I can't have any more. I don't want to say I can't have any more sympathy, because it's like at this point, it's like we've all had ample opportunity. Like Michelle Obama said, we've all had ample opportunity to rise to the occasion in these times. And if we ain't done it yet, it probably ain't gonna happen. And it just is what it is. Folks so connected, but they can't just tap in and be like, Divine, what do you want me to do? Besides just, okay, well, not everybody. But again, that whole like service to self thing was something as simple as a mask. And maybe it's also like an indicator of how we sort of like where we were in the beginning anyway. Because ever since I've been seeing it, it's like you wear a mask to prevent transmission to other people. Wearing a mask is about protecting other people from you more than protecting you from other people. And I was like, okay, work. Because I don't believe this is going to take me out. I could be asymptomatic. I could have it and not even know it, and then go around infecting people and killing people. Because I don't care enough about other people to minorly inconvenience myself. Right? So when I wear a mask, I'm not wearing a mask because I bought into fear or because, I'm clinging to life or whatever. I'm wearing a mask because to me it's become a symbol. It was marketed as a symbol of showing that you give an F about other people. And then that had to become mandatory because people just don't care about other people. So it had to become mandatory. And if that's not a symbol for what is also happening, it's like, girl, y'all ain't care enough about other people to just put it on yourself. Now we got to make it mandatory, and people are still throwing a fit. Bottom of the deck is the moon. Top of the deck is this Ten of Cups. That's some stuff being played out in some behind the scenes, unexpected ways, which is cute. Hey, look, and the moon. That's the title card for this. Oh, I should use this deck in the Pride Tarot. Because for this deck, the moon is the box art, but for the Pride Tarot, the sun is the box art. That's interesting. For the Mirror Truth Lenormands, the birds are the box art, and for Energy Oracles, the goddess of the moon is the box art. Interesting. But yeah, so I'm a little heated again, but it ain't even like heated. It's just like at this point, it is what it is. Like, I don't know. It's like people, it's like they just don't really care about anybody else but themselves. And it's like, I guess I shouldn't say that we don't care about anybody but ourselves, but if we can't find it within our heart to care for the people who have it the worst and to do something for them and to listen to their cries, if we can't find it in our heart to just like at least energetically be there a little bit for them, if we just change the channel, turn off the news, mute the story, and say, well, this isn't my reality, so I don't care. And then something happens to somebody, I can't believe that they're like this. Like, I thought that I was protected. I can't believe this is happening to me. Yeah, you can't believe it's happening to you because when it was happening to other people, you didn't care. Ooh, goodness. I'm just like, okay. Bottom of the deck is attachment. Again, we've been seeing her quite a bit. What's behind attachment? Clarify this attachment. Oh, well, the man holding a heart. Maybe it's time to let him go. What's behind the man holding a heart? Appreciation. So I don't know. What's behind appreciation? Oh, Healer of the Ages. Okay. Healer of the Ages. Maybe it's about appreciating the effort and the healing that this man holding the heart is going through. Camuel. Solar plexus. Third chakra. Let's read them. That's interesting. Somebody was talking about the solar plexus last night. So the solar plexus in Sahaja Yoga, when I learned it, the question at the solar plexus is, who is my master? The affirmation at the solar plexus is, I am my own master. And so in that system, if the solar plexus is blocked, it could be because we're not our own master. And either we're truly not our own master because we're buying into other systems, or we don't think that we're in our own master. We don't think we're in control of our lives. Right? A lot of people kind of sort of aren't their own master, because if you look at what they prefer to be doing, or what they actually want to do, if you look at who they actually are outside of the things that they sort of like bypass just to make ends meet or whatever, a lot of people aren't following or doing what it is that they actually want to do. And that's why people who do what they want to do are sometimes met with so much opposition from other people who gave up on their own dreams, or who settled in life and who are like, the point is to be miserable. The point of life is not to enjoy it. It's to be miserable, make money, and pay bills. I had this one teacher, because I would always be like, is this assignment necessary? Like, do we have to do this? Do we have to? And she was like, Patrick, the only two things you got to do are pay taxes and die. Because she was just tired of me always being like, is this mandatory? Do we have to do this assignment? Oh, wow, that was weird. I think my eyes just crossed for a second or something. So on the left side of my camera, I have a green light. On the right side is this red light. But when I just looked at it, I can't even cross my eyes to do it now. When I just looked at it, the red light and the green light were in the same place. Like the red light was on top of the green light. And I was like, whoa, that isn't how that happens. And so I had to focus on it for a second in order for it to split back apart. And that was interesting. That's never happened. I can't even cross my eyes to do it now. I was like, whoa. Whoa. Like Bubble Buddy. Pop the bubble. Right? Bubble Buddy was like, I gotta get out of town, SpongeBob, because these folks crazy. I ain't even done nothing to them and they're trying to pop me. Just because I take a little bit longer in the bathroom? I'm gonna read Camuel. But yeah, so us not being our own master is one thing that can sort of block that solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus is responsible for what's the word? Sustenance. It sustains us. A lot of times when we think of sustenance, we think of like physical, right? Like the food we eat and what we put into our body. And so another thing that can block the solar plexus is if you put a whole bunch of stuff into your body that alters your ability to be in control of yourself. Those substances, alcohols and the like, right? It can weaken our solar plexus. And so, I mean, I guess you could do all of in this system, you could do all of the sort of solar plexus clearing, all that Reiki healing, all of this solar plexus, whatever work. But if you are not acting in alignment with who you are, gaining some control over your life, limiting the amount of behavior altering substances, or limiting the amount of substances that you put into your body that take you out of that, if you're doing all of these things to create and sustain that imbalance, it don't matter how much you do, that imbalance is going to come right back. And that's the thing about this death energy. It's like it's about actually going in, actually transforming things, and not doing this Queen of Swords, Page of Cups type of stuff where you're doing all of this topical treatment, right? That's why so many people it seems like everybody drinks. And not that there's anything wrong with drinking, but like it seems like a lot of people are drinking because they don't like their lives. And instead of doing something about it, you suffer through it and then you drink to forget and you repeat it the next day. This death energy with this Five of Cups, it's about actually Five of Cups, Scorpionic energy again, actually going down to the depths and putting and making things right. But all of this topical, surface level, Queen of Swords, that's the air. Like, air is everywhere. Air is even diffused in water, right? And fish breathe it in through their gills. But if you go deep down and up into the ocean, the air gets really, really, really thin. It's like, but that's Scorpio. There's not a lot of air in this area. It's all hard. And we like rationalize and we buy into these systems. Oh, maybe they did this and they deserve it for that reason, or maybe did that. And what were you wearing? Did you entice this man to take advantage of you? Did you entice this woman? You're a man. How were you taken out by a woman? Like all of this air that just it keeps us Page of Cups stuck. Nobody cares though. But people do care. I just said I would stop. I'm sorry. We had this opportunity to actually transform all of that. And again, if the divine is allowing something of this magnitude to happen, we might not get too far without doing it. And this ain't just a sit and wait type of, yeah, let's wait until Mars goes into Aries. Let's wait until Mars goes into Aries. Mars and Aries. Mars and Aries. Mars is in Aries. What's happening? Hello? Is it any easier for anyone? Did you get this miraculous and sudden change because a planet moved into another sign? Do you know what Age of Pisces is? Age of Pisces is looking to spirituality to do things for us where we don't have to do anything. Age of Aquarius is actually doing the stuff. That's Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy is actionable. It's humanitarian. It's technology. It's future forward thinking. But it's not only thinking, it's doing something too. Pisces it's the dreamer. I'm a Pisces. It's the dreamer, it's the procrastinator, it's the manifestation. Age of Pisces is the law of attraction. All we got to do is think and feel and it'll happen. Think and feel, and it'll come into our experience. Age of Aquarius is about doing, and if you don't do, you die. Not to be that sort of cutthroat drive, but that death transformation. If you're not doing it, Spirit is going to put you in a position where you're forced to do it. And if you still don't do it, it's just going to be harder and harder and harder for you. It's like we can't keep blaming the ages. We can't keep blaming the planets when we do literally nothing. We can't just sit and wait for this to blow over and not do anything and expect to come out on the other end of it. Like, again, something of this magnitude happens for a reason. And so many people are running from the actual lesson. Anything that you've established in your spirituality up until this point, build off of that, grow from that, do something. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm going to apologize anyway. I'm not sorry, but I will apologize. Because I'm trying to be more. Maybe that's why this fire freaking came back. I'm like, oh. I thought I was over it. But if I need to be a little hot, I'm going to be a little hot. Camuel, that's who was at the top. I'm like, who am I looking for? I don't even remember. I went right to the affirmation for Metatron. So, my sixth chakra is open to its perfect, healthy state. My personal vision guides me, and my thoughts are peaceful and clear. Well, that's what people are trying to buy into, but it ain't no action behind that. It's like, what are we actually doing to create the change that we're waiting for? Or are we just waiting? That's what I want to ask spiritual YouTube and spiritual folks. What are we doing to actually bring this change into the world, or are we just waiting? Are we just trying to block it all out and be good in our own world and think that, everything will balance itself out on the outside? Like, I don't know. Third chakra, Archangel Camuel. This is emotions of desire and life force energy. This powerful Archangel Camuel is holding a beautiful sphere of golden light at the solar plexus, which is the location of your third chakra and the center of your life force energy. The issues here revolve around emotions of desire and your personal energy. When the card appears upright, it indicates that an increased enthusiasm is present or soon to be on its way. This is a great time to move toward the completion of your desires. Your life force is vibrating with power and resonance, and your soul is calling you to direct your energy in a focused, purposeful manner. This angel of power is with you now, so go for it. When this card is reversed, it indicates a low ebb in your energy and possibly a lack of purpose. You may have been feeling very fragmented lately, unable to rein in your scattered focus. If this is the case, it's time to become more centered and single minded. You can choose to bring a greater sense of enthusiasm to your everyday life. Call for the assistance of Camuel to help you harness your power and spin this dynamic center of life force expression. Gather up and direct your life force energy and bring an attitude of enthusiasm to both your goal and your daily life. Well, and then here we have the attitude. Woo! This is why this thing's set up on the shelf, because I don't want to break it. And then here's the attitude adjuster. So, yeah. It's like, if I could bang the gavel, honestly, I would be banging it, because it's been months. And before we send, and again, before we just straight up send the kids back, oh, send the kids in. It was like, who was it? Was it? Oh, that's what it was. Somebody was like talking about the Titanic lately, and at first it was like women and children, right? Until the dudes was like, F that. I want to get on this boat too. Captains talk about the captains abandoning their ship. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about. All the while they're preparing that little life raft boat, whatever thing. They making they escape. And it's like, here comes the iceberg. Somebody running to the cap where the captain is supposed to be. They're like, Captain, there's an iceberg. Captain gone. Captain been gone. I don't know. I mean, it's also a consequence of, people talking about coming into sovereignty and coming into their own power and stuff like that. And so if you want to be in your own power, you want sovereignty, okay. What are you going to, like, what are we doing with it, though? And I'm not advocating for staying in corrupt systems, but it's like, what are we doing with this? Or is it going to be a period of lawlessness that we want? And this ain't me talking about a period of lawlessness is nothing against defunding the police. And honestly, when you think about it, there are some people who become police officers or who join the military because they want to take a life, because they want to have that power over someone else's life for not great reasons. They do it for not great reasons. And so why be surprised when people commit or do such horrendous and atrocious things? When they commit such atrocities, like, at least over here, it's kind of sort of like, you want to be bad, but do it legally. Join the police, join the military, get deployed somewhere where you can just do inhumane things to people, like civilians on the other side. It's just like, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. All right, so I was going to pull some Lenormands today, but I don't even want to stay in this energy. The bottom of the deck was Camuel. It's time for you to come into your own personal power and to reclaim your life force energy. And to think for yourself in a way where you can look at both sides. Where you can look at what this shadowy type energy is trying to sort of get for you, or trying to get you to buy into. But you can also look to the light. Where you can look at the past, but you can also look forward towards the future. Where you can choose options that aren't being marketed right now. Because at the end of the day, Our emotional support is whatever we're putting energy into with that Three of Wands right now. So if you're not feeling super supportive or supported, look at what you're putting your energy into. And is there any substance in that? Or is it like some kind of empty decoy scapegoat thing? Right. So that's what I got. It's a little hot, but it is what it is. Bye.